Miami doesn't sleep. It just changes masks. At night the city feels like neon wrapped around a knife. Hot air. Wet breath. Palm shadows that look like hands. The ocean sitting there like a black mirror, pretending it doesn't reflect what people do under its wind. I used to think I could quit street racing the way people quit a bad habit. Like you just stop. Like you just don't show up. Like the past is polite enough to respect your boundaries. I was wrong. Because the night I got pulled back in, it didn't start with an engine. It started with a bet I didn't know I'd made. And the first time I heard his name again, it wasn't shouted. It was whispered, like a prayer someone didn't believe in. Vance Morrow. If you've never lived around people who own darkness, that name won't mean anything to you. In Miami, it means a door that only opens one way. It was close to midnight when the black coupe glued itself to my rearview mirror on the Dolphin Expressway. Not weaving. Not trying to pass. Just staying there, patient and close, like it had a rope tied to my axle. The kind of car that doesn't act like it's chasing you. The kind of car that acts like it's escorting you. The kind of car that says, without a single word, we know exactly where you're going. My hand stayed steady on the wheel. My heart didn't. Beside me in the passenger seat, Rylan Kane looked forward like the road had personally offended him. His jaw was tight. His eyes were sharp in that quiet way that doesn't come from confidence. It comes from experience. You don't have to do this, he said. I laughed, but it came out wrong. Like my mouth didn't recognize the sound. I already did, I said. I just didn't realize it yet. Rylan's gaze flicked to the mirror, then back to the road. They're not trying to pass you, he muttered. No, I said. They're trying to keep me exactly where they want me. The expressway lights flashed overhead in a steady rhythm, and with each one my chest tightened. I could feel my body doing what it always did when the city decided it wanted something from me. It prepared for impact. I took the next exit hard. Too hard. The rear tires chirped. The car's weight shifted like a shoulder check. Rylan's hand grabbed the door handle. Maya, I know, I said, because I did. I cut into the industrial edge of the city where the glamour thins and the concrete gets taller. Where the streets smell like diesel and salt and wet metal. Where the lights are harsh and everything feels like it's being watched. The black coupe followed without hesitation. No guessing. No delay. It knew. A service lane opened up ahead, narrow and mean, fenced on both sides, leading to a sliding gate that sat half open like a dare. And then the gate started closing. Timed. Measured. Like someone had a finger on a button, waiting for the exact moment that would make me flinch. I didn't. I threaded my father's old car through with inches to spare. Metal screamed as my passenger mirror kissed the gate's edge and cracked, but it held. The black coupe tried to follow. The gate finished closing and smacked the coupe in the face. Not at full speed. Not enough to wreck it. Enough to stop it. Enough to prove the point. The coupe didn't rage. Didn't blare a horn. Didn't slam the barrier like an animal. It reversed calmly, like it had expected the gate to close. Like it was never meant to get through. Because the goal wasn't to catch me. The goal was to tell me something. We can be on you anytime. We can stop whenever we want. We are letting you run. I kept driving until the lane opened into a back alley behind my shop, Torres Performance, and I killed the engine. The sudden silence hit like a slap. My ears rang. My palms were slick on the wheel. Rylan turned to me, his voice low. Tell me the truth, he said. Right now. I stared at the cracked mirror. I made a deal, I said. His eyes narrowed. With who? I didn't answer him. Not because I wanted to be mysterious. Because saying the name out loud felt like inviting it into the room. I stepped out into the humid night. The alley smelled like hot garbage, wet concrete, and old oil. My shop's back door looked normal. Too normal. I put my hand on the knob. It was warm. My throat tightened. I pushed the door open. The smell hit first. Gasoline. Fresh. Sharp. Then the light revealed the mess. Tools scattered. Workbench tipped. Parts bins dumped like someone wanted me to feel violated. My father's old racing posters ripped down and thrown like trash. And on the main table, taped down neat with black tape, was a note. Stop running. Your next race is for something real. Under it, 2:17 a.m. My stomach dropped so hard I thought I might throw up. 217 wasn't a number. It was a scar. The minute my father died. Rylan read it over my shoulder. What is 217? He asked. I swallowed, and I almost lied. I'd spent years living on almost lies. The kind that kept everyone around me comfortable enough to stay. But the city doesn't let you survive on comfort. It's the time he died, I said. Rylan went still. Your father, he murmured. I nodded, staring at the note like it might move. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I opened it. You ran well. Now prove you can win. Show up at the Marina Club at 11:30. Bring the car. Bring the boy. Don't bring a hero. Bring the boy. My chest went cold. Jace, I whispered. Jace wasn't just my employee or my buddy. He was the person who kept my shop alive when my grief turned every day into a weight. He was the one who made jokes when my silence got too heavy. He was the one who stayed when other people decided my mood was inconvenient. 2 nights ago he told me he saw something at the port. Cars moving like bodies. Containers marked wrong. Men smiling too calm. I told him to stay out of trouble. He'd smiled like I was adorable for thinking trouble asked permission. Rylan stared at the message, and his face changed. Not surprise. Recognition. Who is this? I snapped, turning on him fast because fear makes you sharp. He hesitated, and that hesitation told me more than his words. Then he said it. Vance Morrow. The name landed in my stomach like a stone. I'd heard it in whispers. In garages. In clubs. In the spaces where money moves without counting. Vance wasn't a racer. He was a gate. And gates decide who passes. Why does he know you? I demanded. Rylan's eyes flicked away, then back. Because I've been on his track, he admitted. My jaw tightened. As what? I asked. He didn't answer, and my chest burned. I turned away because if I kept looking at him, I'd either slap him or kiss him, and both felt like losing control. We moved fast. We pulled the cover off my father's car. Midnight blue, almost black, heavy and old school with a new heart. My father built it to run straight and strong, and I modified it later because I couldn't stand being predictable. I hadn't driven it in years. It sat under that cover like a sleeping animal. I climbed into the seat, and the smell hit me. Old leather. Oil. Faint tobacco. A memory I didn't ask for. My hands found the wheel. Then the dash clock flickered once. 2:17, it shouldn't have worked. The car wasn't powered like that. The clock hadn't worked in years. It blinked like a heartbeat. Then died. I stared until my eyes burned. They were in your car, Rylan said quietly. I swallowed. They were in my life, I whispered. Jace came in from the front office, holding his ribs like he was sore. Your phone been blowing up, he asked, trying for normal. I turned to him. My throat tightened. Where were you? I asked. He shrugged. Picking up a part, he said. Why? I stared at him. Because I couldn't protect him with half-truths anymore. Stay close, I said. Jace frowned. That's new, he said. It's not a request, I replied. He opened his mouth, then closed it. He saw my face. He nodded. The Marina Club sat on the water like luxury, pretending it didn't have teeth. White walls, tinted glass, valet line full of cars that cost more than my shop would make in 5 years. Bouncers with ex-military posture and eyes that measured everything. They let us in. But they didn't let us in like strangers. They let Rylan in like someone they recognized. That made my skin crawl. Inside, the music was bass-heavy and predatory. The air smelled like perfume and money. People laughed too loud. It all looked like a party until you watched their eyes. Then it looked like a market. We were guided into a private room behind frosted glass. Vance sat at the center like gravity owed him rent. White suit. Slick hair. Watch gleaming. Smile polite enough to pass as friendly if you didn't know better. On the far side, bruised and breathing, sat Jace with his hands tied behind him. My chest collapsed. Jace lifted his head and tried to smile for me. It broke something inside my ribs. Let him go, I said. Vance chuckled softly. Straight to business, he said. That's why your father was fun. Don't say my father, I snapped. Vance's smile didn't move. I knew him, he said. He owed me. Then he died. Gaps must be filled. I forced myself to breathe. What do you want? I asked. Vance leaned forward. I want you on my track tonight, he said. Big crowd. Big cameras. I don't race for you, I said. You already do, he replied. You just haven't admitted it. He nodded toward Jace. You race. You win. He walks. And if I lose? My voice came out thin. Vance's smile thinned. Then he doesn't. Rylan stiffened beside me. Vance's gaze slid over him like he was inspecting a tool. My favorite contradiction, Vance murmured, then looked back at me. There's a catch, he said, voice gentle like a knife wrapped in velvet. After you win, you stand in front of cameras and you say what I tell you to say. What? I asked. You say your father cheated, he said. You say he stole. You say he deserved what happened. The air left my lungs. You're asking me to kill him again, I whispered. Vance smiled, satisfied. I'm asking you to understand how this works, he said. Your father tried to play righteous in a dirty world. Righteousness is expensive. He couldn't pay. Jace's voice cracked. Maya, don't. Vance leaned in closer. Or you don't race, he said, and he stays. And later your shop burns. Maybe your mother's house gets visited. Maybe someone decides your hands are too useful to keep attached. My stomach twisted. I stared at Jace. He wasn't begging for himself. He was begging for the part of me that still had rules. I looked at Vance. I'll race, I said. Jace's head dropped like my words hit him physically. Rylan turned sharply, anger flashing. Maya, I cut him off with a look. Because this wasn't about pride. It was about oxygen. I forced the only bargaining chip I could find. You let Jace go now, I said. Not after. Now. If he stays tied, I walk. Vance watched me, then nodded to a guard. The guard cut Jace's ties. Jace rubbed his wrists, wincing, and tried to stand like he wasn't afraid. Vance smiled like he'd given me a gift. Midnight, he said. Port Loop. His eyes gleamed. And Maya, bring the car your father loved. He leaned close, voice low. I know what's inside it, he murmured. My blood turned to ice. We left the club with Jace between us, limping, furious, alive. Outside, the air hit like a damp towel. The bay looked calm, like it didn't know what people did beside it. Jace spit blood into the gutter. That guy is insane, he muttered. Ryland's eyes scanned the lot. "We move now," he said. Back at my shop, we tore through the car like hungry people looking for water. Ryland pointed under the rear seat. "Under there," he said. "How do you know?" I snapped. His jaw tightened. "Because I've seen builds like this," he said. "Because men who live in this world hide things where the city doesn't look." I found the latch. Not factory. Custom. I lifted the bench. There was a compartment. Dark and tight. Inside, wrapped in an oil rag, was a notebook and a flash drive. On the cover, in my father's handwriting, 217. I opened it. Codes. Dates. Names. Container numbers. Routes. Plates. Bank scribbles. The kind of information you don't collect unless you're planning to burn something down. Inside the cover, one sentence: "If they come for you, don't outrun them. Outlast them." Jay stared, voice rough. "Your dad was building a case." Ryland corrected. "A weapon," he said. My throat tightened. "He didn't tell me," I whispered. Jace's eyes softened. "He tried," he said. "You were just young and fast and convinced the world couldn't touch you." That hurt because it was true. Ryland touched the notebook gently. "This is why Vance wants the car," he said. "Not the metal. This." "And if he gets it?" Jace asked. Ryland didn't lie. "You're dead," he said to me. "All of you." My hands shook around the notebook. The port loop was already alive before midnight. Floodlights. Containers stacked like walls. Crowds behind barriers. Drones hovering like insects with eyes. Engines revving. This wasn't just racing. This was a meeting. A showroom for power. I clipped a small camera under the dash, hidden. If Vance wanted cameras, fine. He'd get one more. The kind he didn't own. Ryland stayed close, acting like he belonged. That made me angry and comforted me at the same time. Jace moved along the edge, pretending to check tires, scanning faces like he was looking for the moment the night would turn. The first heat was smaller, a qualifier meant to build hype and filter out weak drivers. I lined up beside a red car and a white car with a driver grinning too wide. The flare dropped. Engines screamed. I launched. The road surface was uneven, slick in patches from salt air and earlier rain. Sand drifted near corners. The loop was a trap disguised as a playground. The white car tried to draft, then dive inside. I held my line. Smooth. Controlled. Not emotional. He overcommit and clipped a barrier. Sparks erupted. The crowd screamed. I didn't look back. I crossed first. Phones lifted. Cheers rose. The story began. After the finish, a man with a mic shoved it toward my face. "Maya Torres," he shouted. "Back on the loop. How does it feel?" I gave him nothing. "Feels fast," I said. The crowd laughed. "Is that your father's car?" he asked. My chest tightened. "My father taught me to finish what I start," I said. That was true. And it was a blade. The second heat was bigger. More cars. More money. More eyes. This time, bumping started early. A driver tapped my rear quarter, a warning. Then tapped again, harder. This wasn't racing. This was pressure. I kept control anyway. I forced him to either back off or eat the barrier. He backed off. But I saw his smile in the mirror. He didn't need to win. He needed to make sure I understood I was allowed to win only as long as Vance wanted me to. Halfway through the heat, I saw a van parked near the edge of a container yard. 2 men standing by it. The rear window wasn't fully covered. For 1 second, as my headlights swept past, I saw a face in that window. Not Jace. Someone else. Someone's leverage. It hit me like nausea. Vance didn't hold one hostage. He held a menu. I finished first again. The crowd got louder. The myth grew. That's what men like Vance sell. Myths. Then they own you with them. Between heats, Rylan leaned close to my window. Listen, he murmured. Whatever happens, you don't die for pride. I looked at him. I'm not dying for pride, I said. I'm dying if I don't end this. His eyes tightened. He looked like he wanted to say something softer. Instead, he nodded once. Then don't make it meaningless, he said. Vance pulled me into his trailer after the second win. He wasn't smiling now. He was certain. You've earned the main, he said. Win and you speak. I stared at him. I won't, I said. Vance's smile went cold. He nodded once. A side door opened. Jace was dragged in, bruised worse now. Then a phone was held up. Live video. My mother's porch. My mother's front door. A shadow moving past it. Vance watched my face carefully. We have your mother, he said softly. Now you pay. My chest collapsed. Jace whispered, Maya, don't. Vance leaned in. You're going to say your father was a thief, he murmured. Or your mother's door opens. I swallowed my rage until it tasted like blood. Okay, I said. Vance's smile returned. Good girl, he whispered. The words made my skin crawl. Outside, the main race was being set. Vance's champion rolled into place beside me. Matte black. Wide tires. Driver in sunglasses at midnight like he wanted the world to know he wasn't human. The crowd exploded. Because they loved a villain. I climbed into my father's car and shut the door. My hands found the wheel. My breath shook. For a second, I thought of my mother, asleep, trusting the world. For a second, I thought of my father's note. Outlast them. Then the flare dropped. We launched. The champion hit me early, trying to spin me. He wanted my crash to look like entertainment. My father had died in an accident. I refused to let the past repeat. I changed angles. I used weight. I let his aggression work against him. A forklift crossed the straight where it shouldn't have been. Staged. A test. If I didn't brake, I'd hit someone. If I braked, I might lose. I braked. Hard. I chose life over glory. The champion clipped the forklift and lost line. I took the gap. Final corner. We touched bumpers. Metal screamed. I held control. I crossed first. The crowd detonated. Phones up. Drones close. People screaming my name like I belonged to them. The mic guy ran toward me, hungry. Maya Torres. Say something for the cameras. I could feel Vance's gaze through the night like a hand on my throat. I took the mic. And I did the one thing he didn't plan for. I told the truth. My father didn't die in an accident, I said. The crowd's roar turned into confusion. He was collecting proof, I continued. Names. Routes. Container numbers. The people who use this port as their personal bank. I saw movement at the edges, guards shifting. I spoke faster. The man who owns this track tried to make me destroy my father's name, I said. Because he's afraid of what my father left behind. Some people cheered. Some booed. Some laughed because they didn't understand the way truth sounds when it's dropped into a party. If anything happens to me tonight, I said, voice hard, it wasn't an accident. It was Vance Morrow. I dropped the mic and ran. Chaos erupted. Cars peeled off to chase. Security vehicles surged. Drones swarmed overhead. I sprinted to my car and punched it through the staging area. People scattered. Someone screamed. Someone laughed like it was the best show of their life. Then I saw the van moving through the container maze. I recognized the shape. Leverage on wheels. I slammed into the maze, cut it off at an angle, and clipped it just enough to force it to stop. The van's door popped. Inside, zip-tied and bleeding, was Jace. My throat tightened. I yanked the door open and cut his ties. Jace looked up at me and tried to grin. "You always pick the worst nights to be brave," he rasped. "Shut up," I whispered, hauling him up. Headlights flared at the maze entrance. We were out of time. Ryland's silver coupe slid into the opening like a shield, tires screaming, body angled. He leaned out, shouting, "Get in." We dove in. Jace fell into the back seat with a groan. Ryland launched forward. The chase exploded again. This time it wasn't one car behind us. It was a swarm. Because when you expose a king, the whole castle panics. We hit industrial roads, then wider streets, trying to force the chase into places with cameras and civilians. 2 black cars boxed us. Ryland kept his breathing steady. "They're going to pit me," he muttered. "Then don't let them," I snapped, fear sharp in my throat. He gave a humorless half-smile. "That's the plan." He broke the box with timing and nerve, forcing one car to overcommit and spin out against a curb. But the victory didn't feel like safety. Because my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Ryland grabbed it and read, then handed it to me. "We have your mother. Meet at Pier 9. Come alone. Bring the notebook. Or you'll watch her drown." 2:17, the world went cold. Jace, weak in the back seat, whispered, "No." Ryland's jaw tightened. "They moved fast," he said. "My mom," I whispered. Ryland glanced at me. "We can still fix this." I laughed like I was choking. "Fix? They're going to kill her." Ryland's voice dropped. "Not if we stop them," he said. Silence filled the car. Every option had teeth. Give them the notebook and lose truth forever. Refuse and lose my mother. I stared at the message until my eyes burned. Then I said it. "We're going to Pier 9, I whispered. Ryland didn't even pretend to accept alone. "Together," he said. We ditched Ryland's coupe near a busy gas station and switched back to my father's car because it was what they expected to see. We left Jace hidden with a mechanic friend who owed him a favor, the kind of favor that costs years. Before we left, Jace grabbed my wrist. His voice was rough. "Don't let them make you hate yourself again," he whispered. "Your dad died trying to do right. Don't let right become your punishment." His words stayed in my ribs. Pier 9 smelled like rust and salt and old fish. Dock lights spaced far apart, leaving shadows big enough to swallow anyone. At the end of the pier, a black speedboat idled. 2 men stood near it. And between them, bound to a post, was my mother. Her eyes found mine and went wide. I felt my chest rip. A tall man stepped out from behind a piling. Not Vance. But clearly Vance's kind. Suit too clean for this place. Smile too sure. "Miss Torres," he said. "You made quite a scene." "Let her go," I said. He nodded toward my hands. "Notebook." I swallowed. "You let her go first," I said. His smile didn't change. "You don't negotiate." One guard grabbed my mother's shoulders and pushed her closer to the edge. My mother shook, gagged, terrified. My body tried to move on instinct. Ryland grabbed my wrist, tight. "Maya," he whispered, "look at me." I did. "You trust me?" he asked. Trust was a word I used for engines, not people. But he'd stayed. He'd fought. He'd risked. I swallowed. Yes, I whispered. He nodded once. Then do exactly what I say. Rylan raised his voice to the tall man. This pier is exposed, he said calmly. Too many boats. Too many eyes. Bring her into the car. We drive to the spot. We exchange. Then we leave. The tall man waited. He wanted silence. He didn't want a tourist body floating up. He nodded. Fine. But you don't do anything stupid. Stupid is what got us here, Rylan said. They dragged my mother to the car. I helped her in, hands shaking, whispering into her ear. It's me, I breathed. I'm here. Her sobs were muffled by fear. We drove off with the black SUV following close. Rylan guided us into the container corridors again, toward a choke point under a low overpass. He nodded at the glove compartment. I opened it and found a flare gun. My mouth went dry. Where did you get that? Someone who wants Vance gone, he said. Who? Not time, he answered. He slowed. The SUV closed in. He slowed more until the SUV driver got impatient and moved to pass. Rylan whispered, now. I aimed out the rear window and fired. The flare hit the SUV's windshield in a burst of bright fury. Glass exploded. The SUV swerved, clipped a barrier, and slowed. Rylan punched it. We dove into the maze. He took a final sharp turn and stopped in a dead-end corridor between stacked containers. My breath caught. What are you doing? This is where we end it, he said. The SUV's headlights flooded the corridor as it arrived. The tall man stepped out with a gun, furious. Notebook, he shouted. Rylan didn't flinch. Come take it, he said. My heart hammered. Rylan glanced at me. His eyes said it without words. Trust. I stepped forward with the notebook. The tall man approached, gun raised. He reached for the book like it was oxygen. I let him take it. He laughed, greedy. And then Rylan pointed to a tiny blinking red light on the container wall. A camera. Ours. The tall man's laugh died. Rylan's voice was calm, cold. You just proved you needed it, he said. And now you're expensive. The tall man raised his gun again, anger bursting through fear. You think cameras save you, he snarled. No, Rylan said. But they make you harder to bury. Then another voice cut through the corridor. Drop it. Alfonso Nunes stepped into view with federal agents, weapons raised. Wet coat. Hard eyes. The face of a man who'd learned to sleep with one eye open. The tall man froze. Rylan didn't look surprised. I did. Alfonso's eyes flicked to me. Maya Torres, he said. You're late, I shot back, because my mouth didn't know how to be polite in war. Alfonso's mouth twitched. Story of my life. Gunfire popped off quick, controlled bursts, echoes exploding against metal. The guards went down. The tall man tried to run. Alfonso tackled him and slammed him into the container wall. The notebook fell to the ground. Rylan grabbed it. Alfonso cuffed the tall man, then looked at the notebook cover. 217, his jaw tightened. This yours? He asked. It was my father's, I said. Then it's evidence, Alfonso replied. My mother was freed by a medic. The gag removed. Her breath came out in sobs. She grabbed my face with shaking hands. Maya, what are you doing? She cried. I'm finishing something, I whispered. Her eyes filled with pain. Your father, he didn't die because he was reckless. He died because he tried to protect you. My chest cracked. You knew, I whispered. She nodded. He told me not to tell you. He said you'd run into the fire. I laughed through tears. And he was right. Alfonso spoke low, like he didn't want Hope to get too loud. We got a piece, he said. But Vance is a network. Ryland's jaw tightened. So it's not over. Afonso's eyes went flat. It's never over in this city. But it can crack. I stared at Ryland, needing answers that hurt. Who are you? I asked him. Afonso answered before Ryland could. He's a confidential asset, Afonso said. Feeding names. Routes. Drivers. My stomach dropped. I looked at Ryland, breath shaking. You used me, I whispered. Ryland flinched. No, he said. You knew Vance, I said. You knew the loop. You knew what my dad left. You brought me into this. Ryland's eyes went wet, and that broke me more than any lie. I tried to keep you out, he whispered. But Vance picked you. I was chasing the storm. I didn't create it. So you were protecting me, I said, voice trembling, or you were using me. Ryland swallowed hard. I don't know if there's a clean line anymore, he admitted. The honesty hurt. But it was real. The weeks after weren't cinematic. They were fear and relocation and lawyers and silence. Vance didn't get arrested that night. Men like him don't fall fast. They sink into money. They hide behind denial and expensive smiles. But the notebook did what my father meant it to do. It made phones ring. It made men sweat. It made some people run. It made others turn on each other. My shop couldn't survive the attention. My mother couldn't stay. Jace took relocation with bruises still healing and joked about vacation the whole time, because that's what men do when they're scared. As for me, I got consequences. Illegal racing. Reckless endangerment. Property damage. Evading. The judge didn't care about my father's handwriting. He cared about the law. I didn't beg. I didn't pretend innocence. I told the truth. Yes, I raced. Yes, I ran. Yes, I put people at risk. And yes, if the alternative was watching my mother drown, I would do it again. They gave me time. Not life. Not freedom. Enough time to feel the cost without pretending the cost made me holy. In a visitation room with glass and cheap phones, Ryland showed up. He looked like he hadn't slept. They're moving on Vance, he said quietly. Slow. But it's moving. Good, I whispered. Jace is safe, he said. Your mom is safe. My chest loosened a fraction. Thank you, I whispered. Ryland shook his head. I didn't do it for thanks. Then why? I asked, voice raw. He hesitated, then answered like it hurt him too. Because your father was right, he said. And because when you stood in front of those cameras, you reminded me courage isn't loud. It's stubborn. I swallowed hard. Don't romanticize it, I whispered. It was messy. He nodded. Everything real is. Silence sat between us, heavy. Then I asked the question that had been eating me. Did my dad know you? I asked. Ryland went still. I saw him once, he admitted. Years ago. At the port. What did he say? I whispered. Ryland stared at his hands like he was reading an old wound. He told me to choose who I work for, he said. He said a man can survive a lot, but he can't survive becoming proud of the wrong thing. My eyes burned. And you listened? I asked. Not then, he admitted. I thought he didn't understand the game. He looked up at me. Now I know he understood it better than anyone, he whispered. I held the phone tighter. Why didn't you save him? I asked. It wasn't fair. But grief isn't fair. Ryland's eyes filled. I tried, he said. The crash was staged. By the time I moved, it was already done. Staged. My throat closed. So the accident story had always been a costume. They killed my father and expected the world to clap like it was natural. I closed my eyes and breathed. I realized something that steadied me. They wanted obedience. And they got the opposite. Not because I'm fearless. Because I finally stopped trying to punish myself into being good. Suffering doesn't pay a debt. It just makes you colder. And cold people are easy to control. What changed me wasn't speed. It was choosing truth when truth made me a target. Choosing love when love demanded responsibility. Choosing to accept consequences without letting consequence turn me into poison. My father didn't leave me a car. He left me a choice. Don't outrun them. Outlast them. Sometimes the biggest victory isn't winning a race. It's refusing to win the way the world wants. It's choosing what's right when it costs you time you can't buy back. I'm still paying. But for the first time, I'm paying for something real. And that feels like freedom, even behind bars.